Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a little series on this channel that we are calling The Road to the Esports World Cup 2025. I recently made a video announcing how Magnus Carlsen signed with Team Liquid, Hikaru signed with the Falcons, Fabiano Caruana also signed with Team Liquid, Arjun Erigaisi signed with Gen G, and you go on and on and on. The way this is going to work this year is there are two major tournaments which crown 12 players, and then there's going to be a final four that can qualify live at the Esports World Cup. And this will all culminate in July, August. So in today's video, we're covering Magnus versus Hikaru games because they both made it into the semifinal and ultimately maybe a final match. But I will also show you some games between Magnus Carlsen and Arjun Erigaisi, who, like I said, was also signed to an org. Very exciting stuff. And I will also show you a beautiful game from the matchup between Firouzja and Hikaru. And as always, if you want to follow along, link will be in the description. And so that I don't yap too long, streaks are now live on Chessly, and over 4,000 of you have started building up a daily streak. So shout out to all of you who are building one up. If you still haven't checked this out, but you are, joined on Chessly, or you don't know anything about Chessly, monthly or annual fee, membership pass, you get access to every single course, and we have so much exciting stuff. I cannot wait. The next few months are going to be amazing. Building so much stuff for all of you to use to improve your chess. It is just simply going to be a great time. Okay, folks, here we go. First, we will kick things off in the matchup between Magnus Carlsen and Arjun Erigaisi, who we will need to soon start calling by their, team names. It is Liquid versus Gen G. There you go. We have Gandivam. I don't actually know what his username is. I should probably figure it out one day. And the way this works is it's a best of 4. So if you win 2.5 out of 4, you win. And if it's a tie, then you have to play Armageddon. So, pawn to e4. Magnus versus Gandivam, aka Arjun Erigaisi. We have a Spanish, okay, between these two. And I'll put a timestamp on the video player in case, you're so bored you want to go watch Magnus and Hikaru right away. But just enjoy what we have. This is called the Archangelsk variation of the Ruy Lopez or the Spanish. Ruy Lopez, by the way, coming later this month, a full repertoire on Chessly. So those of you that already have it, it will just be added. It's going to be great. Very exciting stuff. Magnus playing in this way where he trades off the A-pawn. And ultimately, he goes for this position, right? So he's trying to double his E-pawns, trying to keep the active rook here. Maybe control of the D5 square. Knight will hop to the edge of the board. Rook will pressure. Some vague attacking ideas. Let's see what he does. Ultimately, the position looks very symmetrical. How will Magnus beat a top junior player like Erigaisi, whose nickname maybe even given by Magnus? Magnus might have nicknamed Erigaisi the Madman. Magnus, in some interview, I think, called him the Madman for his provocative playing style. Rook a6, pawn takes, Erigaisi getting rid of his b-pawn, and we kind of see the board migrating in this direction, right? Flight path is moving us that way, and soon it will obviously move the players to Riyadh for the World Cup final. Rook b6, a trade. Erigaisi splits off the c-pawn into a b-pawn. Could potentially expand over here. Overall, the position is relatively equal, quite balanced. Queen to b3. And nothing really happening, but Magnus has this position to work with. He makes a nice little knight jump and puts pressure on Erigaisi's weakness. He then makes this trade and plays a very nice move, queen a2. And this is sort of the culmination of the Magnus effect. He is targeting 3 different weaknesses in the black position. It's very difficult for black to defend every single one of these. The second that he makes a move, one of the weaknesses proceeds to get exploited, and now one of the pawns has fallen. Now Magnus is a pawn up with 3 extra minutes. Keep in mind the time format in the Esports World Cup is 10 minutes with no bonus time. Rook e1, knight jumping into the middle. Erigaisi is still kind of trying to play like a madman, and it pays off. Actually, the best move here for white was rook f1, which is not very... That move doesn't make any sense because you're going to lose the pawn on c3, but then queen f2 would have been lights out because you threaten queen f7, and this infiltration is unstoppable. The other idea of rook f1 is, of course, you're just threatening a general infiltration. This is the wrong move, though, and now Erigaisi has pretty decent drawing chances. He's only down a pawn. Problem is, he's playing the best endgame player ever, and you have a knight endgame, and obviously the way white wins this position is by promoting a pawn to a queen, but not losing it for the knight as long as the other pawns stand. Basically, white can't trade everything. White cannot be left with this. White needs more pawns on the board, otherwise it's just a draw. Magnus is going to try. Erigaisi is going to try to defend. And one guy's going to win this kind of battle, and it's going to be the guy that's really, really, really good at endgame. Suddenly, Erigaisi's pawns are gone. 2 pawns up for Magnus is easy peasy. Maybe I would find a way not to win this against Erigaisi, but Magnus finds a way to win this against Erigaisi. Knight f6 is a nice final move. g7 is mate, so you have to take the knight, and that would result in a promotion. A very convincing win for Magnus. Now, Magnus actually had a very similar thing happen to him here that happened at the World Blitz Championship. He was in cruise control, playing very, very smooth. But, then we got into a complicated game. Erigaisi has to win on demand. Magnus playing the Accelerated Dragon. Maraxi Bind is the setup chosen by white. This is a very provocative little approach, but it doesn't really matter. It's all solid. It's all good. And now, black is going to play with the queenside pawns. Black's going to get play over there, rotate some knights. Let's see what happens. There's a5. Knight back to f6. This is a very well-known and standard setup for white. All right? And remember, Magnus just has to not lose. So he has a great position. He has literally fulfilled the middle game plan of a dream position in one of these things. The pawn is very, very nice over here, controlling white any advancement opportunities. Right? Queen goes to e3, bishop c6, and Erigaisi launches an attack down the center line. Because what else is he going to do? Okay, pawn takes, rook blocks, queen backs up, and rook comes over. I mean, everything Magnus has done is perfect. The rooks are open. Whole left side of the board for Magnus is protected. Queen is powerful. But you still have to make moves. And Erigaisi has to find a way to win. Now there's no queens on the board. Now the knight is perfectly placed on c5. I mean, you're not going to beat Magnus Carlsen from this position. He has cooked people in positions like this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now he's trading the pieces like this. I mean, this is just GG's. He's got him in an endgame. He's got him right where he wants him. Magnus has Erigaisi. Bishop e2. Rook goes to a1. All right. I mean, Magnus has not only won positions like this, he's also saved and drawn positions like this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Pawn to e3. Very nice position. King e5. King f4. I mean, Erigaisi's trying, and he is up a pawn, but it's not going to work out. Look at this. Total domination. Rook g2, second pawn, second rank on the pawn. King is going to come in. Bishop is going to come in. No, this is not going to work out from Erigaisi. Or is it? And somehow, in the scramble, Magnus almost overestimates. He goes for more. He goes for a kill shot at 2-1. He could have just tried to, save the game. He could have walked in with his king, grabbed a couple pawns. But he goes for the kill shot, and actually, Erigaisi defends his king, and not only does he defend his king, he's going to make another queen. Magnus Carlsen goes down. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. So the match is 2-2. So in the 2-2 format, what happens is the players bid. What do they bid for? They bid for Armageddon. They bid for the fact that they can play with black, but a draw is a win. But you bid a certain amount of clock time. Well, folks, Magnus, I just restarted. What happened here? There we go. It updated on the second move. I don't know why it didn't update on the first move, but Magnus bid 6 minutes and 50, I guess 6 minutes and 55 seconds is what he starts out with. So these are the time controls. White gets 10 minutes, black gets 6:55, down 3 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. However, if black makes a draw, they win. That's Armageddon. Both players bid to play with the black pieces. Now, so this game just gets off the rails immediately. A good strategy when you're playing black and you're down on time in an Armageddon is to play very provocatively. Why? Because it'll oftentimes land you in a bad position, like this one. Here's the thing. White has to win. So when you are up on time and in a better position, what do? You spend time, right? Erigaisi's going to spend time. He's going to spend time trying to win this game. Magnus gambles. Takes. And now a move here that would have been absolutely crushing is b4. In fact, at the World Rapid Championship, Magnus beat young man Brewington Hardaway in a position that was very similar. In this game, Erigaisi tries to clear things out, and this position that erupts is completely insane. So this pawn armada is coming down. that pawn armada is going forward. You talk about a position you do not want to be in. Magnus is down 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Back to the wall. B4. This is not a position you want against the madman. Eric Geisy cooks people in these positions. All right? I don't know what his favorite food is, but I'm sure it's tasty. Bishop D6, B5, A5, shredding open the position. Magnus down to 333, 703 on the clock for white. AB, Rook A6, Eric Geisy looking to knock out Magnus. It is +3. It's over. Rook A8, and now Eric Geisy has a kill shot. And the winning move here is Bishop B4, which is vile. It is a vile move, but Eric Geisy. By the way, if you want to understand the point of this move, you are losing a defender of this pawn. So after Rook A8, Queen E5 is lights out. Come back, Queen G7. I'm going to pick up the rook again, and I'm totally winning. Eric Geisy, 644 to 251. He's built up a 4-minute time advantage, misses it. He plays this move instantly, and it looks like he's still winning. In fact, he is winning. He plays all the best moves. All of this. Magnus desperately defending his position. But now Eric Geisy is only winning if he finds one move in this position and it's not findable. Thing is, he's constantly threatening a promotion, so Black is going to have to go play defense at some point. In this position, Arjun Eric Geisy can sack his bishop. It's one of the most heinous knockout punches I have ever seen. The point is simple. You just promote on two sides, and you have an infiltration with the queen. I've never seen anything like this. Anything. And evidently, neither has Arjun, because he goes here. And out of nowhere, Magnus Carlsen saves the day. Down 4 minutes, back against the wall, infiltrates with his pawns, and rips open the white position. Look at this. This is the craziest game I've ever seen. Both guys with fatal attacks on each other's king. Magnus down 3 minutes on the clock. And remember the rules of Armageddon. He forces a draw. White's king is not able to be protected here. They have to repeat the position, and Magnus saves the day. Why did the king not run out to H3? Pawn to G4. Now, here comes the rook. You cannot defend against the rook and a queen. I think Queen E2 is an even faster mate, by the way. I mean, you talk about momentum. Look at how Eric Geisy had him on the ropes. And just 7-8 moves later, look at how Magnus has the white king on the ropes. You talk about a banger of a game. Here it is. But Magnus advances to the final. Now, Alireza Firouzja and Hikaru Nakamura were on the other side, and these guys were also slugging it out. They also went to an Armageddon. Here's the craziest part. Remember how I just told you they bid for the time control for Black? They bid the same amount. I don't think that has ever happened. Hikaru and Firouzja bid 6 minutes and 19 seconds to both play Black. What? Then they rebid, and look at this. Hikaru starts the game with 6 minutes on the clock. I think 6 minutes and 1 second. So Hikaru takes a 4-minute disadvantage to save the game. No bonus time. 10 to 6. That's crazy. That is not a lot of time at all. White has all this time to think. Now, what happens here? They play in Italian. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but they played this position in their match for so long. They played this position like 5 times. Now, again, I'm going to go into the details a little bit here, just very briefly. H6 is a very provocative move. You waste time, but you stop White from ever putting anything on the G5 square. And also, Firouzja really likes the Italian with Bishop G5, so this is clearly an anti-Firouzja strategy. And Firouzja takes a bunch of space on the queen side. Boys get into a big scrap. All of this has happened before. They play this position like 5 or 6 times in the same match. And Hikaru played D5 and the game explodes. Right? Alireza attacking Hikaru on the king side. Pawn takes E4 from Hikaru. Pawn takes. Bishop, bishop, E5, F5. Knight is going to move. Rook is going to come. Knight is going to move. Rook is going to... Like, this is a crazy position. And Hikaru only has 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Right? Immediately, he's worse. Alireza brings the bishop back. Rook E8. F5. Shoving Hikaru's pieces around. Right? Knight F3. Excellent. Knight D7, bishop C1. And Hikaru now, I mean, he took a 4-minute time disadvantage to make a draw with Black, to win the Armageddon. But look at the time. Look at the time. He took a 4-minute time disadvantage, and now it's within 44 seconds. His position is bad, of course, because he had to play so fast. But now it's about, can Firouzja seal the deal? E5. Now it's only 22 seconds. Hikaru backs the king up. Now white is winning. White is winning. He has 5 minutes. Chest pumping. Heart is beating. Rook G1. Rook G8. Now Firouzja here has to find F6. He has to just rip open the black position, hope for the best, calculate everything out. F6 is winning. He plays here, though. That gives Hikaru a little time. Now knight e4. Now Hikaru's creating counterplay. Now Hikaru's up a minute. Wait a minute. From down 4 to up 1, a 5-minute turnaround. Alireza clearly feeling the nerves. Now nothing's going his way. And nothing is going his way, especially after this move. Queen h3. Obviously, there's no bar during the Hikaru game. Alireza was trying to unpin himself. But he runs into an uppercut from hell. Hikaru in this position plays Queen h4! The queen cannot be taken by the knight because of the pin. The queen cannot be taken because of the queen, by the queen, because of mate. We thought this whole time it was white's bishops. White's bishops that were the powerhouses. White's bishops that ultimately rerouted and created an attack. But all along, it was black's bishop waiting to strike. Queen h4 is a lightning bolt. And not only that, it attacks everything. Every piece there is collapsing. Queen takes f4, Alireza Firouzja resigns. Queen h4, the move sent from the gods. And Hikaru clutches it in an Armageddon format. We just saw Magnus and Hikaru bid for the black pieces. They both got themselves into precarious and losing positions. Archie and Erigaisi was very close. Erigaisi, I would even argue, not only was he close, right here in a moment like this, Bishop g5 was very hard to find. Very, very hard. But he had 6 minutes. Right here is the moment he needs to be more careful. Because Bishop b4 with 6:44 on the clock is probably findable. Probably. He played c5 very fast. He was playing on feel. He was really trying to put pressure on Magnus. I feel like he let one get away. I can't say the same here. I'm not really sure about that. But that sets up a barn burner of a final. Like I said, I would put timestamps if you don't want to watch the prequel, but like, you gotta watch the freaking prequel. Like, this is like the good stuff out here. This is the final of the first of 2 major events this year. The winner of this match plays the winner of the loser's bracket. The loser of this match goes to the loser's bracket to then qualify for a chance at a grand final reset. Magnus plays the Jobava London yet again. Hikaru, by the way, plays my line. This is what I like to play here with black. Pawn to a6. Pawn to h6. I have played this myself. This warms my heart. Like, this little waiting game where you let white make a move. This is the good stuff. Now we get h4. Like, this is how you know we are in really edgy chess territory. e6, although I actually think c5 here is the move. And then there's like a line where you just give up the pawn, but you get some counterplay. Hikaru plays this very slowly. And Magnus plays exactly what you're supposed to play in this opening. The knight hops in, the queen comes out, the bishop comes out. Hikaru already on the back foot, it feels very early. Like trying to sort of, you know, bob and weave and get out of the way. And this is like everything that white wants in a Jobava London. He's going to be putting a lot of pressure on you. You know, all this, etc. Rook c8, and now when you have castled and when you've developed your pieces, and your opponent is several moves away from castling, you got to punish them. Magnus plays e4. For most people, the position with black here is practically lost because it's so hard to come up with a move. If you take this pawn, I shove this forward, you cannot defend yourself anymore. If you take, knight takes d5, something is coming to c7, bishop is coming to c4, rook is coming to e1, it's time to resign. 6 pieces to 0. Hikaru now has to play full defense. E takes d5. Knight f6. Tricky business. Pawn takes e6. Knight h5. Knight to h5. Craziness. Queen g4. He takes the bishop. Magnus takes with check. Hikaru's king is walking around. Now Magnus, Hikaru trying to trade off the queen. Magnus is a pawn up. Now he's 2 pawns up. Rook f4. But this is, Magnus has got this in the bag. Rook here, knight is ready, bishop g6, and the game goes on for a little while. as Magnus tries to convert it. But as long as he, doesn't have an internet disconnection or do anything too deranged, Hikaru tries his best. Hikaru might save this position against somebody named, Levy Rosman, or even other strong grandmasters, but he's not going to be able to save this against Magnus. And I think more than anything else, this was a misplay, I would say, by Hikaru. It almost felt like Hikaru never even got out of the gate in this game. He played this kind of setup, and in the Jobava London, with a6 and h6, yeah, it's not just all fun and games, like you have to, know the line here, but it just felt like somehow Magnus just sort of came forward, and Hikaru in this position never got out. Like, he tried to play rook c8, but e4, and the game is already practically over, like after 13 moves, because it's so hard for Black. Black can't move the bishop because of this. Magnus did an excellent job here. He almost, let's put it this way, he spawn camped. Remember those terms, Call of Duty back in the day? I don't know if that's still a thing. You just wait at the base. That's what you do. That's what he's doing. Magnus just not letting them get out. Just not letting them do it. He used to spawn camp in Combat Arms. That was a game I played back in the day. Just a really nice game. But Hikaru's going to have to shake it off, right? And he's got the black pieces again. Magnus 2900 rapid on chess.com. All right, we got Falcons versus Liquid here. Bishop b5, a Spanish. Knight e7. This is called the Cozio because it's very nice and cozy. Knight c3, knight to g6. You defend the center with the knight. Magnus plays d4. Take, 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 take. All of this has been played before. Now you kick out the bishop. Bishop goes back. You offer a queen trade. He's trying to catch up in development. Open up your rook. Bishop goes here. Magnus plays a4. Hikaru says, nope, I'm not going to let you get any closer. Castles, castles. Okay. The engine likes the position for white very slightly, but it's full of play. Black fights for the dark squares. Black is going to trade the dark squared bishop if it ever comes here. Black will play d6, or even sometimes there is an opportunity to play d5. Bishop comes out, etc. Very easy game. But let's keep in mind, Magnus ultimately is leading in the match. So he's kind of okay, relaxing, taking it easy, taking it a little bit chill. Rook d1. It's up to Hikaru. How is Hikaru going to create some counterplay? He plays knight e5. Actually, might have even been better to play knight f4 and grab the bishop, although that's not the most intuitive thing because it's one of your only active pieces, but he comes here, and then he goes for this position. Now, Magnus, we can look at this from white's perspective. Magnus has this position to work with. Again, he doesn't know it's +1, but he's definitely better. Why is he better? Why is Magnus better here? Obviously, he has the Magnus bonus, but that doesn't mean his position is better because he's Magnus Carlsen. He's better because of a few reasons. Number one, he has more pieces out. Black has 4 out of 5 pieces in the back rank. Number two, it's not just about active pieces. It's about long-term play. He will be able to push the knight backwards, activate his bishop, and put pressure on Black's pawns. Not just pawns, squares. Black has more long-term weaknesses in this position. f4, knight f7, and bishop c4. So this is the position. You can't take the rook because of the pin. Hikaru goes here. Magnus backs up. Why does he back up? This pawn can't come forward. Comes forward, you take the knight, take the pawn. Now you have an extra pawn. You go from being better and pressuring to purely up a pawn. b6. e5. Generally, when you have a developmental lead like you do in this position, better piece coordination like you do in this position, the element of time like you do in this position, you can strike. You have a pawn break, a key break in the position. And in this case, this trade would open up a fatal pin. So Black can't do that. But the problem is you're not really asking if Black can do that or not because you're also threatening, let's say, to do this and leave an isolated weakness, make this trade, reclamp, infiltrate with the rook, infiltrate with the pawns, completely restrict the Black position, and Black is not going to be able to move. That means Hikaru has to play some form of a defense. Knight e4. Another idea of moving the pawn forward is to bring in the knight. Every time pieces move, they give opportunities to other pieces. Now Hikaru plays knight f5, and he has to go for it. Like I said, he's going to have to break through the position at some point. En passant, luckily saves the day. Now Hikaru at least can get some pieces out, get some breathing room. Problem is, dude on the other side is one of the best converters in the game. But look at Hikaru. Right here, g5, practical move. The best move for white here would have been very simple. Hit the knight. And when the knight departs, what you do here is stay patient. It's almost over. Black doesn't have many moves. If pawn takes f6, you have the incredible knight takes f6. Look at the position. What? How to attack that? Well, if this, take, d7, take. Knight can't protect. Nobody can protect. There's a million threats in the position. Knight g8, rook d8, resigns. Well, Magnus, it's like human, rushes in, and suddenly this knight is causing a short-circuiting of the white position. Not really sure what to do. Hikaru's knight is just hippity-hoppeting around, f5. But now Magnus regains control of the game. He sacrifices his rook. Rook takes rook. Knight takes d7, attacking the rook, and the pawn is 2 squares away from promotion. Rook b8. Wow. That is bold. Trading the rooks into an endgame where the pawn might be the difference maker. Knight h6. King... Oh, what? Oh my god. Do you know what his idea here is? He's gonna lose a knight. But the king and the pawn, that's all he needs. Can you believe it? How can you be up a freaking rook, but you can't even save the position? King e7. Now, admittedly, it's just the difference of a square. Actually, apparently, no, it's not. Apparently, white is winning anyway. That's unbelievable. King f4. Hikaru has to go back. But Hikaru loses the pawn. But Magnus is taking as many pawns as he can as well. Knight d4, b3. Folks, in this position, Magnus is up 4 pawns. But here's the craziest part. I don't know if this was luck. I don't know if this was genius. I don't know what happens. He's going to go pick up another pawn. He picks up another pawn, but he loses his knight. He loses his knight. He's down a rook. But the crazy part is he has 5 pawns for the rook. I don't know if he did this to prove a point. I don't know if he did this because he got unlucky. The rook only went here for one reason, and it was to give a check. He could have played king b6, and then he goes here. And I don't know if he did this to just prove a point. Black can't move. Black does not have a move. You can play rook e3. I mean, I don't think he did this on purpose. That would not make any sense. But he's going to just completely freeze the black position. And Hikaru, by the way, is not making a run for it like this because white can just zip around to the other side. And if you play something like rook e5, I will wait. I will wait. And then at some point, I'm going to take the knight. Like there is going to be a position like this where taking the knight, you can't do it right away. But this is probably winning for white, which is unbelievable. King b5, a5, right? And white wins. White just wins because you don't have enough time. a7, here, king b6, pawns come up. I don't even know what to say. And king b7. And Magnus ends up just, he just wins. Hikaru just resigns here because he's not going to be able to defend against all the pawns. Magnus is the first winner of this event. Hikaru goes down to the loser's bracket. He can requalify for a grand final reset. Still a great run for Hikaru, knocking out Firouzja. Arjun Erigaisi ultimately going down to Magnus. Yeah, I mean, Magnus showed up in great form, and in this first game, put a lot of pressure, taking advantage of kind of the position that was underdeveloped. Just very instructive and very high-level chess, very combative games, very entertaining games. And yeah, Esports World Cup is shaping up to be a lot of fun. A lot of the top players are already signed to org, so it's super exciting there. Fabiano Caruana ultimately knocked out, but, you know, Team Liquid got Magnus too, so yeah. That's all I've got for you today. Check out Chessly if you haven't already. Go turn on a streak if you haven't. You got no excuse. You got to do this. Do a little bit every day. Get a little better at openings. And we are in the process of redesigning all of the conceptual courses like tactics, endgames, middle games, etc. Much more to come. Yeah. That's all I've got for you today. Get out of here.